Hey guys, what's going on? So, today we're going to be talking about Astromon League. Astromon League. So let's go ahead and get right into it. First of all, let's go ahead and talk about defense. You're thinking to yourself, Mogati, you have defeat. Oh, who are you to teach me about defense? You damn scrub. Alright, well here's the thing. So you see this message down here, league ends in 6 days, 1 hour, blah blah blah, right? Until this reads about 1 day or a certain set of hours, I'll have this little dude as my defense, or just someone random, it doesn't matter. This is because I want to get defeated. I want to stay low. I'm at 491 points right now. This is because you get guys like this that are doing the same thing. Boom. One little dude here. Let's go ahead and kill him. Boom. Dead. And now you see we get 3 of these league medal points, which you can buy for things in the shop. This sort of method is very efficient in these medal farmings here. I recommend not buying any eggs at the moment because they will be reducing the prices. It could be before next week. I think they said on the 8th or the 10th they'll have an update. I'm not sure if they're including the changes that they talked about on their Facebook page yet. I bought this egg before remembering, but I'm gonna wait for the rest. Whatever. And then like the toughest teams you'll find are these, like a full team of 5 stars. And I know a lot of people can't beat those, so then you can just refresh your list and you'll have another whole set. You see, here's a guy with only one. And it's a very efficient way to get a lot of league points. I believe once you're above 700 league points, so this stuff that determines your rank, you'll get like 4 points per battle, but at that point, you know, they're starting to be 5 and 6 star teams and stuff like that, and it takes a lot longer than it's really worth. But with most of these teams, even if they have a full set, they're usually pretty weak, 3 or 4 stars, and you can put it on auto. So this is the reason why I have just this little guy as my defense for 6 out of the 7 days, and I recommend you to do the same as well. It'll help you, it'll help everyone else. Everyone can get easy league medals and buy the stuff out of the shop. So and then when you decide to push up in the rankings at the last day to get more Astro Gems for your tier reward, I recommend doing a somewhat defensive team. So trying to have a defensive leader skill, so HP or defense increase leader skill and such like that, and maybe some defense aggressors, you know, stuff like that. And I recommend a more defensive team because on defense, you obviously don't choose who you're attacking. You can't really gang up on anyone. So the basic point is to try and keep most of your guys alive until they start getting their brave bursts off, and then they can do area of damage, and then maybe you can CC them to death on your defense because, you know, on the last day of league, you want your defenses to win, of course. But it's a little bit different on offense. Even though it's 4 versus 5 units, I still think the attacker has the advantage. 1, because they can choose who they are going to attack with, and 2, they can choose who they're going to attack. I'm just going to use this one as an example. I know my units are much stronger than theirs are, but even so. So when you're going for an attack, there are a few things to look at. What the units are, what their types are, and what those units do, and what they're specialized in. There's a Water Persephone here, which is a very, very high priority target, because every time she attacks, she heals everyone else and herself 10% of her HP. Over time, you will know what most of these units do and if they're a high priority target or not. When you're on the attack, I recommend going more offensive, and even though this here is both my offense and defense team, typically, I'll usually swap out one or the other depending on what types they have over there. So there's 2 water types I can see, so grass would actually be better here, so maybe I'll take my grass Leon instead of Jacqueline. So this is obviously a pretty mixed team. You know, you got 2 waters, a fire, and a grass. We don't know what the 5th one is, the one that is hiding. It might be another water, it might be a dark or a light, we don't know yet. But regardless, let's go ahead and start the battle, and I'll kind of bring you through my thought process when going for an attack. So obviously the Persephone should be the first target. So I'm going to go ahead and try and defense down him first with Leon here. His 3-star skill is defense down. It's only a 60% chance though, so it's definitely not a certain thing, but there's definitely a chance. So we're going to go ahead and try and get rid of him with Nike here. And yeah, okay, so we're able to get rid of him. And what's hidden behind is another Water Astromon. This is a Siren. This is a pretty low priority target until its active bar is getting full, because then it can heal, and if you have a lot of damage on the others, then that might be a problem. The next priority target would be this Water Valkyrie, because I know Water Valkyries have very high attack power, but very low defense. So even though I could go for this Fire Miho with my Water Arthur, and I would have the type advantage, I think I would rather go for the Water Valkyrie, because it's probably still easier to kill, even with without. And I'm even going to hit the Water Valkyrie with my Pebble, which has a type disadvantage halfway because there's a chance to stun there, and this is one that can probably deal the most damage, and secondly because I want it dead. So we're gonna go ahead and finish off Water Valkyrie with Nike, because Nike doesn't have an elemental advantage anywhere unlike everyone else. So now that Water Valkyrie is out of the picture, there's actually none of these guys that are really too dangerous, so we can basically just pick and choose. Let's go ahead and go with the Mona, or the Monarch, whatever it's called now at Evo 3, because it is closest to having a full Brave Burst. So we're just gonna go ahead and auto it there. Okay, well it died, whatever. Like I said, my units are a lot stronger than these guys are. And then, you know, when it's 4-on-2, then of course I'm just gonna go for it. But for the sake of this being an actual real battle, I mean it is a real battle, but it's not very fair. I'm gonna go ahead and try and reduce Siren's defense. That didn't work, unfortunately, but whatever, we're gonna go ahead and target the Miho and just go auto on it, and that will probably kill them. So yeah, basically the most important things to remember are picking your units before you fight, and identifying the highest threat there. Like I said, over time you will get to know what are high threats. Water Persephone is probably one of the highest threats in Astromon League, because if you don't take care of her, not only will she keep healing everyone you're trying to kill, but when she gets her SP bar full, she has an 80% chance to petrify your entire team, and that is definitely not good news. One more thing on defense, try not to go with any more than 2 of one element, because even if you think you're being sneaky and putting an element that would have an advantage against whatever team you're going with, 1 versus 4 isn't really gonna help. So in this example, I would expect to get hit by a water team or mostly water Astromons, and then boom, my Miho comes out. It's a grass monster, but against 4 water guys, it's not gonna stand a chance anyway. So I would recommend not having more than 2 of the same element, even if you're going to be sneaky and put an element that would have an advantage against most of the other team. I mean, a lot of it comes down to your personal situation and stuff. But like, for example, most of my strongest guys are water, light, or dark. So even though, like with that last team that had 2 water Astromons, it would actually be better to go with like 2 grass. It actually had 3, 1 was hidden though, but I don't really have too many strong grass types. I'm almost going with these 3 guys as a set team, basically regardless. Maybe I would switch out Granitus if there were more than 2 water types, but I think these guys work really, really well together because of Granitus's leader skill, HP, which also synchronizes well with Jacqueline's huge HP pool, which then increases its effect to heal. And since Nike has an extremely large defense but a smaller HP pool, Jacqueline can heal him really well as well. And then usually my last spot is reserved for the team. I do sometimes make exceptions to these 3, but pretty rarely. So in this case, for example, I'd simply go with my 4th 6-star, which is just Arthur, because there are 2 fire types. You can't really go wrong. So anyway, there are some units that I'm not too familiar with yet. For example, this Scubbus here. I think it's called a Scubbus. So, you know, naturally, as a human instinct, what we want to do is when we don't understand something, just kill it. Kill it as fast as we possibly can and make sure it dies a lot. It looks like their hidden monster was a super powerful level 50 Miho, so we're also going to kill that. So honestly, these aren't very good examples because these guys are quite weak. So we're just gonna go ahead and end this battle. There was one other thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's the type of units you're bringing. There aren't too many wrong choices, to be honest, when you're going to be bringing units to attack. But the best ones have CC on their first skill. And by CC, I mean stun, petrify, shock, all those things that disable the Astromon from attacking. Those are the best ones to bring by far. For this reason, Granitus is a pretty good Astromon League because he has stun on his 3-star skill, albeit it's only 60% chance, but that's definitely a decent chance to incapacitate a threatening Astromon, such as a Persephone or someone with very high attack power, etc. And then on his 5-star skill is Taunt, which is good because Granitus is a very tanky Astromon, and not only is it good so he can absorb the damage everyone is doing, but also it prevents any other Astromons from doing their active skill, which is very important. They are forced into just simply normal attacking the Granitus, or whoever is taunting them. Also, I find aggressors to be very good for Astromon League. They don't bring anything to the table as far as CC goes, but they are typically very tanky as well as being able to dish out a lot of damage. So if you have a mini healer such as Jack or Water Persephone, then they'll do really, really well to keep them alive. And the reason I usually bring Arthur is because he can get his active skill off sometimes in the first turn, believe it or not. That has happened a few times. If not the first turn, then it's usually the second turn, because he refills 30% of his own SP bar every turn, and his 5-star skill Attack Down is also very, very good for Astromon League because they can't deal as much damage. So the only thing things I wouldn't really recommend for Astromon League is Sap, because Sap doesn't do enough to take up one of those slots in my opinion. Fatigue and Thirst aren't really all that good either, because, I mean, it can save your ass sometimes. If you land it perfectly at the right time, it can prevent someone from doing their active skill or even getting it full in the first place. But those definitely aren't as useful as Attack Down, Defense Down, Stun, Shock, and Petrify. Taunt is also good, so I guess that is about it. Let's try and find one more battle of the strongest we can find. This guy looks decently strong. Yeah, pretty sure this is the strongest guy. He has 3 Evo 3 level 50s and a natural 5-star Evo 2. I don't really know what this wolf does. I see him quite often. I think he might be an aggressor as well, but since none of them I would say are really threatening, I mean, Light Knight here and Dark Horan can deal decent amounts of damage, but they don't have any CC, so they're not too much of a threat. So I'm gonna try and get rid of this guy. He might be an aggressor also. I think he might be this wolf thing, but I'm not too sure. And what do we do with things we're not sure of? We kill it, and kill it good. It's also stunned, so it cannot act. And usually when they have a tiny bit of HP, I'm gonna go off auto and just try and whittle them down with my weakest guys first. If I'm lucky, yeah, okay. And then out a hidden comes a Fire Persephone. Fire Persephone, even though both of her skills are sap, can be very, very dangerous. Because Persephone is probably the strongest sapper in the game, and she's an exception because I'm pretty sure both of her skills have 100% chance of sap for like 2 times, 2 turns, something like that. So that can really, really add up. So again, I'm going to try and take care of her. She is the most threatening out of all these. Unfortunately, she has such a tiny amount of health, so I have to use one of my stronger guys to do it. I'm going to go ahead and use Nike because I want to save Pebble to try and stun her. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. It did, so she can't attack either. Now, this is at the point where a couple of my Brave Bursts are full. Somehow, Arthur managed to avoid every single blue orb, which almost never happens, of course, because I was just talking about Arthur and that he usually gets his skill in the second turn. He literally managed to avoid every single blue orb. That almost never happens. Ignore this part. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and do our 2 Brave Bursts and basically see what's left. Okay, so both of these guys are taunted, which means if they did have their active, they wouldn't be able to use it. And also Grantis is going to take the attacks instead of my light or dark guy, which would be weak against them. So now we're going to look at whoever has the least health and try and get rid of them. This would be the Knight here. And then, you know, when you have a couple of Brave Bursts ready, you can go ahead and go back on auto, but make sure to choose the one with more health, because obviously this tiny amount of health will get killed by the area there, the area of effect attacks. So this battle should be actually done. So I'm sorry I couldn't show any actual hard battles, you know, but it basically goes like that. Identify the biggest threat, get rid of it, and then you basically got to improvise from there depending on what the hidden monster is, because again, you cannot see that. Typically, you want to go with just your strongest monsters unless there's some kind of huge disadvantage as far as typing goes, so grass or wood, whatever, and try and attack with units that have those CCs, stun, taunt, attack down, defense down. The attack and defense down aren't really CCs, but they're still debuffs and they still work really well in Astromon League. But that is going to be all. Make sure to keep farming this dude. He is like a water version of Pebble with a faster filling SP bar. Granted, he doesn't have stun. What am I doing? This isn't the right video for this. Well, in my opinion, he's good enough to farm, and I'll leave it at that. So that'll do it for today. Thanks as always, guys, for watching. Make sure to drop a like if you did enjoy. I would really appreciate it. And until next time, actually, it should go like thanks, or leave a like if you did enjoy, and then thanks for watching until next, because it, you know, it's like, sounds kind of weird. Bye.